Welcome back, Sketchers. In 2019, the summer before starting secondary school, I drew an eye as realistically as I could. My parents loved it, even my teachers loved it. But that was 6 years ago, and it looks kind of meh now. So fast forward to this year, I thought it might be time for a redraw. So make yourself a home, and let's redraw history. Just like back then, I used masking tape to make a circle, which will act as the eyelid. And then I drew the shape of the eyelid over the circle, with an even smaller circle in the middle, which is the pupil. I then added in the tear duct, and then the eyelid. And let's not forget a window of sparkle on the eye as well, which will act as a reflection. The biggest things that I did wrong last time back in 2019 was probably the lack of range of values. But now I do have a lot more pencils like 8B and all that, so I can definitely add in a lot more of a range of values and a lot more contrast. I think that's the biggest thing that I kind of failed on last time, that I've now done this time. And you'll definitely see this at the end. Like here, for example, where I'm adding the eyelashes with really dark pencil, because eyelashes are black. They are black. There's not really any colour to them, they're just perfect black, essentially. And can I add, please do let me know if you do want me to do a video, like any video really, and I'll definitely do it sometime in the future. Just let me know down in the comments. I respond to basically every comment, so please feel free. Oh yes, and the iris. This is definitely one of my weak points in the one I made back in 2019. I mean, look at it. That doesn't really look like an iris at all really. So it was really important I get it right this time. And heck, once I finish this, I still haven't finished with it, because later on in the video, you'll see that I should go back to it and actually add even more passageways in there. Honestly, the iris is so much more complicated than you might think. There is so much going on in there, and I've got to be honest, most people don't even see it. So it was really important to really get a lot of detail down in this, because this is basically the main part of the eye. This is what you are looking at. Also, I would like to add as well that the one I made back in 2019 is really bad at transitioning. Like, you can see that the shading is really choppy, and it's also really wishy-washy. You can clearly see the sort of like lines being made, all the streaks. But in this version, and in all versions from now on, everything I draw from now on will be a lot smoother. I've actually managed to master, well, not master, but I actually know how to actually draw tonal changes very smoothly now. As you can see, everything's a lot more smooth than before. I think another flaw in the 2019 one is the use of shading around the eye, as I kind of failed to consider the different lighting sources acting upon the eye at once. Hence I kind of just treated the eye as an actual eyeball in the original one, whereas in this one I actually just treated it as if it was the shape of what you see from the outside in terms of like shading, as that brings a much more realistic feel to it. Shading wise at least. I actually visit the tear duct a few times in this, because in the original, I simply just drew outlines around where I think the highlights are, but obviously, it does not work. In fact, there are very little highlights in the original eye. I think that's one of the biggest things that made it look a bit less realistic than it could. I do have one of those rubbery highlighty things that you can just like use as a pencil to like rub things out, However, I did just find a good workaround of just keeping on rubbing things out, and then just going over it with a pencil. Not the most ideal way, but it's a way that works. Now for the eyelid. So the eyelid in the original was very thick. There's a lot of contrast, and I feel like the eyelid in the original doesn't really look like an eyelid anymore. It just looks like an extra part of the eye, like an extra muscle for some reason. I think that's, again, a big red flag, a big spoiler to the actual drawing, because the eyelid is supposed to be something that's very thin, like it's a small crease in your eye. It's not supposed to be this big, like, it almost looks like an eyebrow in the original. It's not supposed to be like that, and I think the biggest thing is a lack of a sort of smooth transition once again in terms of shading, the lack of a smooth gradient, but also a lack of highlights in the actual middle between the eye and the eyelid. And this is something I've actually managed to do this time in my 2025 version. Now for the sort of baggy stuff underneath the eye. That doesn't look too bad in the original, and if anything, there are a few more details in the original than my current version. However, I felt like every single time I tried to do it, it kind of took away from the realism, so I felt like just adding something a bit smooth would actually look a bit better here, at least for my skill level right now. I feel like that's probably a few of the weak points of the 2025 version, because I feel like some details were missed, but honestly, I think it's, again, a sort of compromise act to do, really. Okay, so I have fast forwarded about 30 minutes into the future because some of the footage was lost, had to skip over a certain amount of parts, but you haven't really missed that much, so it's not really too important. I really hate it when Google Drive says it's uploaded it onto the Google Drive, and then I delete it from my phone, and then, oh my god, it's not there. Really hate it when that happens, but that's essentially what's happened. But like I say, nothing has really gone on. It's just me going over things like I'm doing now, really. Once again, just really getting that contrast going in the eyelids and in other little creases. And as promised earlier on in the video, I'm going to go back over the iris again, really homing in on all that detail. In fact, by doing this, I actually make it stay a lot more true to the original, but actually capture the detail in the right way this time, rather than just using lines. But this time, the way I actually created this effect was by using lines that are really close together in sort of, I guess, groups of lines, separated by a gap in the middle of the lines that I did at the very beginning, if that makes any sense. And yeah, I just do that everywhere, really, all around the pupil. And now, I'm just doing all the finishing touches. And with the final few strokes of the pencil, the drawing is complete. Now for the long-awaited comparison. 3, 2, 1. Honestly, I'm really happy with what I've done. There's definitely a big improvement between the two. I've definitely improved my skills, so that's good. Although, I even look at the 2025 one and think, what could I have done better? I guess it really brings a reality to the expression that someone who draws or paints is never really satisfied with their work. But I'll take it. I think it still looks pretty good. Definitely a big improvement. And you gotta think that I was basically like in year 6 then, and now I'm, you know. What do you guys think? Definitely leave comments below, please. Constructive criticism for all of you pros out there. Maybe just a comment saying how good you think it is. But please guys, remember that you can critique without being an idiot. Not that any of you guys are, of course. So please keep your comments respectful. Please. But anyways, that's about it really for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch you later!